You need to make people think. I have no problem with everybody who watches this disagreeing with me. If everybody who watches this disagrees with me completely and they can articulate why and tell me why they disagree with me and they can think of an argument counter, then I've already succeeded. Making people think, whether it's for you or against you, is the #1 weapon against the slave mind programming. So I have no problem. If I make people think, I don't care if they disagree with me. Because I'll tell you, the biggest slave minds in the world today are people, and they're out there, who have strong emotional reactions to subjects they don't even completely understand. You can go out there and say the name Andrew Tate to somebody and they'll go, I hate him. Why? I don't know. If you don't know why you feel angry, you have been programmed. How can you have an emotional response to something you do not understand? These are slave-minded individuals. So if you're a slave mind and you're watching this and you hate me, it's fine. Write an email, write it to me, write it down, explain articulately why I am wrong, turn your brain on, and I guarantee halfway through the email you realize you were probably fucking wrong in the first place. Most people do not think. So if I have no problem being martyred. If I have to be hated for people to think, then I think that's a good thing for society as a whole.
A lot of people say education is like a form of control.
Yeah.
So do you think right now the modern education system is them just trying to control us, brainwash us?
Well, what have you learned in modern education that's ever helped you with your life?
Pythagoras theory.
Yeah, exactly. Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. Everything that you learn in the modern educational system is a waste of time. None of it helps your life at all.
Yeah.
And most of the time, especially in the West, you end up in debt to learn things you don't need. And
Yeah.
they do that to get you already inside of the slave machine, so you have to quickly get a job and pay all this money back and sit there and slave away your job forever. If they really cared about you and they wanted you to learn things and know things, then they would teach you about how tax works, how money works, how business works. They don't teach you any of that. They'll never teach you anything about anything important that can genuinely improve your life. They just teach you things to keep you inside of the slave mindset. It's an indoctrination camp. It's all garbage. I teach more about how to make money in my school for $49 a month than you will ever learn in a business MBA for $100,000 from Harvard.
Yeah.
Because I'm actually trying to teach people how to make money because I exist. My school doesn't exist in a vacuum either financially. You have to understand the educational system exists in a vacuum. You can only get the loans if you use the loans to go to school.
Yeah.
And in the West, if they were to say, here's $100,000, do you want to go to school with it or do you want to do something else with it? Nobody would go to school, but you can only get the money if you go to school, which means the school doesn't have to be competitive. It's not competing against any of the other avenues of generating money in the world. So they get to just completely scam you and waste your time and waste years of your life and teach you nothing.
I'll touch briefly on that. I was cornered by some journalists on my way to the courthouse the other day. And they said, "Are you happy, Tristan?" I said, "Yes." He goes, "Ha, were you happy in jail?" I said, "Yes." He goes, "Happy in jail? Why?" I said, "Because only my body was in prison, but my mind wasn't." And what I meant by that, to extrapolate a little for everybody listening here, I look at some people. When I was in prison, I thought of some people. I thought of what the people who were doing this to me looked like. I can imagine them. Fat, out of shape, out of breath all the time, unhappy, small house, ungrateful, unattractive wife, doesn't respect himself, doesn't respect his family, kids who probably hate him. And I thought, that guy, these people, and a few names spring to mind of people who I hate from the past, are far more in jail than I have ever been. These people sitting on their Ryanair flights with 3 masks on are more in jail than I have ever been, with a bloodstream filled with mRNA vaccine. They are more in prison than I have ever been. You can lock my physical body away, sure, but in my mind, I am free.
It's true. These people are absolutely and utterly controlled. Most of our detractors are controlled by what they see on the news, and they don't even have any interest in finding out the truth. It's amazing to me. I'm the most famous, most Googled man on the planet, right? I'm the most Googled man on the planet, and videos of me are being presented out of context. And every single time I do a podcast, I say, that's shown out of context. And you'd think that the people who manage to get emotionally affected by me, who manage to get annoyed by me, so they obviously have an emotional interest. They have a vested interest in who I am as a person. They don't even sit and think, well, I've seen this guy everywhere. He's super famous. I'm mad at him now. I have an emotional interest in this subject. He's saying it's out of context. Let me watch the longer version. No, they just sit there and go, well, I don't even want to know the longer version. BBC told me, Lucy told me. Their minds are in jail. They're imprisoned in their brains. They can't even think outside of what they see on the fucking TV screen.
Have you seen this like phenomenon where you go out to restaurants and like the family will sit down and then they sit a screen down in front of the child with headphones, and then the kid's just sitting there watching some bullshit on the screen? I don't know if that happens where you live, but that really bothers me. Like, there's a few times where I've wanted to get up and say something, but it's like, I just bite my tongue. I'm like, you know what? It's not your place. Just let them do what they're going to do. What do you think about that?
Yeah, well, this is the problem. Most parents don't realize they don't even raise their children anymore. The Matrix raises their kids.
Right.
The Matrix raises their kids because their kids spend all day at school and then all the rest of the time on screens digesting shit that you don't even know what it is and you can't control. Mm-hmm. So all of the ideas inside of the child's mind is no longer the ideas of the parents. The parents can no longer influence their own children. So now what are you going to do? This means that if the school or the Matrix or the entertainment systems or YouTube decide something's true, they'll pump it in your kid's brain until your kid believes it's true. You're going to end up arguing with your own child about ideas because your child's going to say, but they told me that at school and they told me that on YouTube. You're wrong. You're old. You don't understand. Your own kids are not going to think like you because you're allowing the Matrix to raise them. It's insanity. But the people who will do that at a dinner table are such fucking dummies. They don't even see these things. They don't think beyond the convenience. They can't see the bigger picture. They're not perspicacious. So they're slaves who are raising the next generation of slaves to be owned by the Matrix and controlled. And yeah, you're right. It's a shame, but there's always going to be kings and peasants and peons. It's always been the way of the world. These people are just slave-minded losers. So that's what can you do about it? But my children certainly won't be that way. They're going to be sitting at the table paying attention to their fucking dad. They want to know something, they can listen to me. I know everything about everything. I'll be telling them exactly how the world fucking works. I'm not going to be watching some bullshit on YouTube. I'll tell them. But these people, they don't think. And that's why that kid's probably watching some video about why you should hate us. Right. Probably hates you and me. Yeah. Probably thinks we're just watching it.
Can everyone be successful? Do you believe that?
Good question. So, firstly, I'll answer, can everyone be successful? I think the world would be a terrible place if everyone had a free mind. You do need the slave minds.
I've heard you say that.
As annoying as they are,
yeah.
You do need the slave minds. You do need the guy who believes that, working the gas station is important and he's good at it. You need him. It's good. You need these people.
Yeah, but what if that guy just doesn't know any better, though?
Good.
Or he's
this is what we're talking about,
good,
though.
Fine. The world can't all be, mansions on the Palm in Dubai. They can't all be that. So successful is all about self-definition, which is what I was saying at the beginning. You have to decide who you want to be. And if you wanted to be Joe Schmo and you pull it off, then you'll be a pretty happy, content person. To decide who you want to be. I think the people who are miserable, it's the gap between their expectations and their reality. That's where the misery lies.
Yeah.
My expectations were always enormously high. Even when I was a nobody, I knew I had to be filthy rich and a kickboxer, and I knew I had to be the kind of guy that people gave a shit.
Were you happy at that point?
I know, but I knew I'm basic things. At the age of 15, I knew that if I'm the kind of guy that if I raise my voice, people are going to care. I'm not going to be the guy who starts shouting and everyone thinks it's funny. I know I'm going to be the kind of guy who is genuinely a formidable opponent in all realms of human endeavor. I know I'm going to have money. I know I'm not going to take shit.
Where did
from
that come from, though?
But
you can't just.
Yeah, I know.
I understand what you're saying, because my whole life I felt like there's always more. I know that there's more.
But I think a lot of people have that.
Of course. But the people who are miserable are the people who don't try hard enough to obtain it, because I actually believe, and this is another thing I'll say, I believe the universe is very giving. I think the universe and God himself is very giving. I've yet to meet somebody in all my years who is genuinely giving 100% of themselves day after day, doesn't snake anyone, firm handshake, look you in the eye, doesn't lie to nobody, and tries 100% who doesn't get what they want. I've never seen it. Every single person who doesn't have what they want, there's something in their story that doesn't quite add up. I've yet to see some guy have you ever seen a guy who eats right and trains his ass off and never misses a gym session, ever not grow? Ever.
No, never.
Not
ever.
What? Not what?
Grow.
Not grow. Not make
ever. It's just, that's the way the universe works, right? So if you're truly about it and you're truly trying your absolute best, you're going to do it. And that's what I believe. I believe the universe is extremely giving. So when I meet somebody and they go, I really wanted this and I don't have it, I say, you didn't really want it. You're a liar.